When we talk about greatness, most people immediately start blaming someone else. They blame circumstances, their family, their environment, or even luck. But let me tell you something. The moment you realize that that you are responsible for your own life, is the moment you start becoming unstoppable. You can't wait for someone to hand you success, opportunity, or greatness. You owe yourself the commitment to rise, grind, and claim the life that's meant for you. You see, every single day you wake up, you have a choice. You can choose to complain, or you can choose to take full ownership of your life. Complaining won't pay your bills, it won't get you a promotion, it won't build the body you want, and it definitely won't get you closer to your dreams. When you own your life, you stop making excuses, and you start making moves. When it comes to success, most people are walking around with a chain around their ankles and don't even realize it. That chain is the chain of excuses, of blame, of pointing fingers at everyone and everything outside of themselves. They're waiting for life to hand them what they think they deserve. They're waiting for someone else to fix them, to save them, to give them the keys to their greatness. And while they're waiting, life is passing them by. Opportunities are slipping through their fingers, moments are lost, and potential is wasted. But let me tell you something that most people would never admit to themselves. The moment you take full responsibility for your life, you step into freedom, true freedom, real power. And that power starts with accountability. Accountability is not a punishment. It's not some heavy weight that's meant to crush you. No, accountability is liberation. It is the moment you stop blaming your parents for not supporting you enough. The moment you stop blaming your teachers for not believing in you. The moment you stop blaming your boss, your colleagues, your friends, the economy, or even your own circumstances for where you are right now. Accountability is the act of saying, you know what, this is on me. I own it. Every win, every loss, every setback, every failure is mine. And because it's mine, I have the power to change it. That's freedom. That's real power. Because when you stop blaming, you stop living in someone else's shadow. You stop being a prisoner to the opinions, decisions, and mistakes of others. You take the driver's seat and you start steering your life toward the destination you actually want. Now, I want you to think about this. How many people do you know right now who are blaming someone else for why they're not where they want to be? Maybe it's their parents for not providing enough. Maybe it's their spouse for not understanding. Maybe it's their teacher, or their coach, or the government, or the system. Listen, I'm not saying life doesn't throw challenges at you. Life is going to challenge you. Life is going to test you. Life is going to throw obstacles in your way. But here's the thing. The person who owns their life, the person who takes full accountability, they don't waste time blaming. They see the obstacle. They see the challenge. They acknowledge it. And then they figure out how to get over it, under it, around it, or through it. That's the difference between someone who lives in mediocrity and someone who rises to greatness. Let me tell you a story. When I was younger, I had no guidance. I had no blueprint for life. I didn't come from a perfect home. I didn't have perfect parents. I didn't have perfect opportunities. I had the streets. I had the challenges. I had the distractions. And I'll be honest with you. At first, I wanted to blame everything and everyone else. I wanted to say, if only my mom had done, if only my dad had done that, if only my teacher had noticed me, if only the system had treated me fairly, I would have been different. But then I realized something. All of that is irrelevant. What mattered was what I was willing to do for myself. What mattered was whether I was willing to take full accountability for my own life. And the moment I made that decision, everything changed. Suddenly, the power was mine. Suddenly, excuses didn't work anymore. Suddenly, blame didn't have a place in my vocabulary. Because when you own your life, there's no room for excuses. There's only room for action, growth, and results. Accountability is freedom because it removes the illusion of waiting. Most people think they need something external to start, to succeed, to rise. They think they need money. They think they need connections. They think they need a perfect plan. They think they need someone to validate them, and they wait, and they wait some more. But when you take accountability, you stop waiting. You stop depending on external factors. You stop hoping for someone else to hand you your greatness. You start creating it yourself. It's freedom. That's real power. Because your life is no longer dictated by others. It's dictated by your own choices, your own actions, your own determination. And let me be clear, accountability isn't easy. It's not glamorous. It's not something that everyone can handle. It requires honesty, brutal honesty. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and ask, whoa, what have I done to contribute to where I am right now? What could I have done better? What am I willing to do starting today to change my trajectory? That's uncomfortable. That's hard. Most people don't want to do that. Most people don't want to take a hard look at themselves because it's easier to blame. It's easier to say it's not my fault. But here's the truth. When you stop blaming, you start gaining control. You start becoming a person who can truly change your life because change starts with you. And that, my friends, is freedom. Let's break this down a little further. Accountability is not just about owning failures. It's also about owning your wins. There's a reason why some people are constantly humble but never celebrate themselves. They don't want to appear arrogant. They don't want to feel proud. But accountability is about taking responsibility for everything. That means when you win, you say, I did this. I earned this. I worked for this. Then when you lose, you say, I learned this. I'll do better next time. You are not at the mercy of luck or circumstance. You are the captain of your destiny. Every action you take, every decision you make, every habit you form is yours to own. And the more you own it, the more power you have to direct it toward your dreams. Think about athletes. Think about champions in any field. The reason they rise above the competition is not because life handed them an easy path. It's not because they had fewer obstacles. It's because they took accountability for everything in their lives. They took ownership of their practice, their preparation, their mindset, their nutrition, their sleep, their focus, their commitment. They didn't blame their teammates, their coaches, or the referees when things went wrong. They said, this is on me. I'm going to get better. I'm going to rise. And that mindset creates results. That mindset creates freedom. The freedom to be the best version of yourself. Now, I want you to really hear me when I say this. Freedom without accountability is chaos. If you want freedom in your life, freedom from regret, freedom from limitation, freedom from mediocrity, you have to own your life. You have to own your actions. You have to own your habits. You have to own your mindset. And yes, you have to own your failures. Because when you do, you remove the power from external circumstances. When you take accountability, no one else can control your life. You decide what happens, and that is the most empowering feeling in the world. Let's talk about excuses for a second. Excuses are the chains that keep people trapped. They make you feel comfortable, but they also keep you weak. They keep you dependent on others, waiting for someone else to rescue you, waiting for someone else to give you permission, waiting for someone else to show you the way. Excuses are convenient, but they are. And the antidote to excuses is accountability. Accountability forces you to look yourself in the mirror and say, enough. I am responsible. I am capable. I am committed. And once you say that, excuses lose their power. They can no longer hold you back. That's freedom. That's power. That's living on your terms. And let me give you one more perspective. Accountability also builds resilience. When you take full ownership of your life, failures stop being the end of the world. Setbacks stop being devastating. Challenges stop being overwhelming. You become resilient because you know that whatever happens, it's still your responsibility to keep moving forward. You know that you are capable of handling whatever comes your way. You know that you have the power to learn, adapt, and grow stronger. And resilience is a form of freedom that most people will never experience, because most people never take accountability for their own lives. You might be thinking, Eric, this sounds hard. What if I fail? What if I mess up? What if I can't help? Let me tell you something. Yes, it is hard. Yes, you will fail. Yes, you will struggle. But here's the thing. It's better to struggle under your own responsibility than to live a life of excuses under someone else's control. When you own your life, you also own the opportunity to succeed. You own the ability to rise. You own the ability to grow. And that is priceless. That is freedom. That is power. That is the moment when your life truly becomes yours. And the beautiful thing about accountability is that it compounds over time. Every day you take responsibility for your life, you get stronger. Every time you own your mistakes, instead of blaming someone else, you grow. Every time you make a decision based on your values and your goals, instead of waiting for someone else, you gain confidence, clarity, and control. And eventually this builds momentum. Momentum that propels you forward. Momentum that creates results. Momentum that turns your life into something extraordinary. That's why accountability is freedom. The more you own, the more you're empowered to create. So what does this mean for you? It means that if you want to be free, if you want to be powerful, if you want to live a life without limitations, you have to take accountability today. Stop blaming. Stop waiting. Stop waiting. Stop pointing finger. Look in the mirror and say, this on me. I own me. I am responsible. I am capable. I am committed. Say it with conviction, with fire, with energy. Because when you do, you step into a level of freedom most people will never know. And I promise you this. Life will test you. Life will challenge you. Life will try to push you back into the chains of excuses and blame. But if you are committed to accountability, if you are relentless in owning your life, if you are unwilling to let anything or anyone control your destiny, you will rise. You will overcome. You will succeed. You will be free. Not free from struggle, not free from failure, not free from pain, but free to live your life on your own terms, free to pursue your purpose, free to become the person you are capable of becoming. So take this moment right now and make a decision. Decide that from this day forward, you will own your life. You will own your mistakes. You will own your successes. You will own your mindset. You will own your time. You will own your hats. You will own your actions. You will own your responsibility to yourself. Because when you do, nothing can stop you. You are free. You are powerful. You are unstoppable. And when people ask you why you are different, when people ask you why you succeed when others fail, when people ask you how you manage to rise above the crowd, you'll be able to tell them this simple truth. I want life. I take full accountability. And because of that, I am free. Most people in this world are walking around with the weight of blame on their shoulders, and they don't even realize it. They blame the system. They blame their upbringing. They blame the economy. They blame their bosses. They blame their friends, their partners, their neighbor, the traffic, the weather. Anything outside themselves becomes an excuse for why they are not where they want to be. And you know what? That blame feels comfortable. It feels safe. It feels like a shield protecting you from the hard truth that your life is your responsibility, that your future is determined by what you do today, and that no one is coming to save you. But here's the thing about comfort. It will keep you poor. It will keep you average. It will keep you from living the life you were put on this earth to live. You want to know the brutal truth. Every second you spend blaming someone else is a second wasted. Every excuse you give is a brick in the wall that keeps you from reaching your potential. Excuses are like chains disguised as pillows. They make you feel like you're okay, but deep down you know you're not. And the moment you realize that nobody is responsible for your greatness but you, that is the moment your life can change. That is the moment the magic begins. So, that is the moment you start building instead of blaming. Let me be clear. Blaming is easy. Anyone can do it. Anyone can say, I can't, because anyone can point fingers and feel justified. Building yourself, building your future, building your dreams, that takes work. That takes courage. That takes commitment. That takes waking up every single morning and saying, I don't care about the circumstances. I don't care about the excuses. I am going to build. And building starts with a mindset shift. You have to decide that nothing outside of you is more powerful than your will, your focus, your drive, and your discipline. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you heard someone say, if only I had the money, I could do it. If only I had the connections, I could do it. If only I had the education, I could do it. If only life was fair, I could do it. And how many times did you hear them actually do it? Rarely, if ever. The if onlys are death sentence for your dreams. They are the silencers for your dreams. They are the silent killers of ambition. Because if you are always waiting for the perfect conditions for someone else's approval, for the stars to align, you will wait your entire life and achieve nothing. But the person who stops blaming and starts building, they don't wait. They don't make excuses. They create. They take action. They solve problems. They grind while everyone else sleeps. They build while everyone else blames. And that's what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Let me tell you a story. I grew up in a tough environment. I had more obstacles than I can even count. People would tell me I couldn't. People would doubt me, and life itself seemed determined to push me down. And for a while, I blamed everything and everyone around me. I blamed my teachers. I blamed my circumstances. I blamed my neighborhood. I blamed my family. But then one day, I blamed my day. I had a revelation. I realized that if I kept blaming, I would get nothing. I would be stuck forever, a prisoner to my own excuses. And that's when I made the decision to stop blaming and start building. I started building my mind, my body, my skills, my discipline, my network, and my vision. I started taking action when no one was watching. I started putting in the work when it seemed pointless. Pointless because I knew that building is what leads to results. And let me tell you something. Once you make that shift, once you take responsibility for your own growth, the world starts to bend to you. Opportunities appear. Doors open, people start noticing. But none of that would have happened if I had continued blaming. Here's the truth. Blaming is a trap. It feels good in the moment because it allows you to avoid responsibility, but in the long term, it steals your life. It steals your confidence, steals your time. It steals your opportunity. And building, true, consistent, relentless building is the antidote. Building requires vision. Building requires courage. Building requires sacrifice. Building requires discipline. Building requires resilience. But most importantly, building requires a refusal to give up on yourself, a refusal to give power to circumstances, a refusal to let excuses dictate your destiny. Now, I want to challenge you to think about the things in your life that are not where you want them to be. Is it your career? Is it your finances? Is it your body? Is it your relationship? Now, I want you to think about how much time you've spent blaming others for these things instead of doing something about them. Be honest with yourself, because the minute you stop blaming and stop building, you unlock a level of potential inside of you that you didn't even know existed. You realize that you are the architect of your life. You are the CEO of your destiny. You are responsible for every single outcome. And that realization is both terrifying and exhilarating. Building doesn't start tomorrow. Building doesn't start when you feel ready. Building doesn't start when the conditions are perfect. Building starts right now, today, with whatever you have. It starts with a single step, a single action, a single decision to refuse to play the victim any longer. You owe it to yourself to stop blaming, because every excuse you give is holding you back from the life you deserve. You owe it to yourself to start building, because the only person who will fight for your dreams like you is you. And let me tell you something about the process of building. It is not always easy. You will fail, you will stumble, you will fall flat on your face more times than you can count. But that's part of it. Building requires endurance. Building requires persistence. Building requires resilience. Every setback, every failure, every obstacle is a test of your commitment. And the person who refuses to let setbacks define them, the person who uses failure as fuel, the person who gets up one more time than they fall, that person is unstoppable. That person is a builder. Person is free. That person is powerful. And you can be that person too. You stop blaming and start building. Think about the people you admire most. The people who seem to have it all together, the people who inspire you, the people who motivate you, the people whose lives you want to emulate. I can guarantee you one thing about them. They did not get there by blaming others. They got there by building. They got there by working when no one was watching. They got there by sacrificing comfort for growth. They got there by taking ownership of their actions and refusing to let circumstances dictate their destiny. And if they can do it, so can you. But only if you stop blaming and stop building. Let's talk about excuses for a moment, because excuses are the enemy of building. Excuses are the lies we tell ourselves to justify inaction. Excuses are the way we avoid responsibility. Excuses are the thing that keeps us stuck in mediocrity. And here's the kicker. Excuses are cheap. They cost nothing, but they also give you nothing. Building, on the other hand, requires investment of time, energy, focus, and discipline. But it pays dividends that last a lifetime. So ask yourself right now, are you willing to keep living in the cheap comfort of excuses? Or how are you willing to invest in your own growth by building relentlessly? Building also requires vision. You You can't just start building blindly and hope it works out. You have to know what you're building toward. You have to have a clear picture of your goals, your purpose, your dreams. And then you have to take consistent, deliberate action every single day to bring that vision to life. It's not glamorous. It's not easy, but it is necessary. The person who has a vision and builds toward it is unstoppable. The person who has a vision and blames others is invisible. And let me remind you again, building is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen with a single effort. It's daily. It's relentless. It's showing up when you don't feel like it. It's grinding when nobody is watching. It's sacrificing comfort for growth. It's pushing yourself to do the work you don't want to do so that you can have the results you deserve. And every single action you take compounds over time. Every single habit you build, every single skill you develop, every single moment you invest in yourself brings you closer to your goals. That's the power of building. That's the power of ownership. That's the power of self-responsibility. Now I want you to imagine you're like 10 years from now. 10 years from now, 10 years from today. If you keep blaming, keep waiting, keep hoping for someone else to save you, where will you be? And now imagine the same 10 years from today if you decide right now, in this moment, to stop blaming and start building. 10 years of relentless action, of daily investment in yourself, of refusing to accept excuses. Where will you be then? I'll tell you where you'll be. You'll be unstoppable. You'll be powerful. You'll be living the life you've always dreamed of because you made the conscious decision to take control, to stop blaming, and to start building. And here's the most important part. Building isn't just about you. When you take responsibility for your life and start building, you also inspire those around you. You become a leader, a role model, someone who shows others that it's possible to rise above circumstance, to refuse excuses, and to take control of your destiny. People will watch you and learn. People will be motivated by your example. And that's the ripple effect of building. Your growth doesn't just benefit you, it benefits everyone who witnesses it. Everyone who witnesses it, everyone who interacts with you, everyone who looks up to you. So right now, I want you to make a decision. Decide that you will no longer be a victim of circumstance. Decide that you will no longer blame the world for your situation. Decide that you will take full responsibility for your life, your growth, and your results. Decide that you will start building your skills, building your mindset, building your discipline, building your vision, building your future. Because when you do, nothing can stop you. You will become unstoppable. You will become powerful. You will become free. And most importantly, you will become the person you were born to be. Stop blaming. Stop building. Build relentlessly. Build daily. Build even when it's hard. Build even when it's uncomfortable. Build even when no one is watching, because this is how greatness is created. This is how lives are transformed. This is how ordinary people become extraordinary. You owe it to yourself to start building today because your future depends on it. Your dreams depend on it. Your potential depends on it. The world is waiting to see what you are capable of. Let me tell you something that most people will never admit to themselves. Most people are living far below their potential. They have talent, skills, abilities, and gifts that are screaming to be unleashed, but they sit on the sideline, waiting for permission, waiting for the perfect time, waiting for someone else to light the fire under them. And while they wait, life passes them by. Time moves forward. Opportunities disappear. Moments are wasted. And the sad part is, they don't even realize that the one person responsible for unlocking their potential is themselves. Your potential is your responsibility. And until you own that, you will never experience the life you were meant to live. You see, potential is not something that someone else can give you. It's not something you inherit from your family. It's not something a teacher can hand you. It's not something the world will magically deliver to your doorstep. Potential is inside you. It's a seed. It's a fire. It's a force that is waiting for your commitment, your discipline, your focus, and your relentless action to bring it to life. And the moment you realize that your potential is not just a possibility, but your responsibility, that's when everything changes. Because responsibility demands action, transforms potential into results. Most people don't understand this. Most people think that potential is a passive gift. They think I'm talented, so it should happen naturally. I'm smart, so opportunity should fall into my lap. But life doesn't work that way. Potential without action is wasted energy. Potential without discipline is nothing more than a dream. Potential without responsibility is just another excuse for mediocrity. You can have all the talent in the world, all the intelligence in the world, all the gifts and abilities in the world. But if you do not take full responsibility for them, you will never see them reach their highest level. I want you to imagine for a moment a world-class athlete, a musician, a successful entrepreneur. Do you think they woke up one morning and suddenly became great? Do you think they were handed their gifts fully formed and fully polished? Absolutely not. They had to own their potential. They had to put in the work. They had to endure the pain. They had to sacrifice their time, their comfort, and their energy. They had to make a daily commitment to themselves that they would no longer settle for less than what they were capable of. That is responsibility. That is owning your potential. That is the key that unlocks greatness. Let me tell you a story. When I was young, I had dreams that were bigger than my circumstances. I wanted to make an impact. I wanted to rise. I wanted to be someone who mattered. But the truth is, dreams alone are worthless if you do not own your ability to make them a reality. I realized early on that my potential was mine to claim, and nobody else was going to do it for me. I had to study harder than everyone else. I had to work longer than everyone else. I had to sacrifice social life, comfort, and convenience. I had to push through pain, rejection, and doubt. And every time I doubted myself, every time someone doubted me, I reminded myself that my potential was my responsibility. No one else could unlock it. No one else could cultivate it. No one else could force me to rise. Only I could. And that mindset changed everything. Your potential is not just about what you can do. It's about what you are willing to do to become what you are capable of. It's about the sacrifices you are willing to make. It's about the consistency you are willing to show. It's about the discipline you are willing to enforce in your own life. It's about refusing to let comfort, fear, or doubt dictate your choices. Every time you choose the easy path, every time you procrastinate, every time you wait for someone else to push you, you are failing to take responsibility for your potential. And every time you take ownership, every time you push yourself beyond your limits, every time you commit to doing the work that no one else sees, you are activating the power inside you that can change everything. Let me ask you this. How often do you settle for less than you are capable of? How often do you hold back because it's easier, safer, or more comfortable? That is the opposite of responsibility. That is the opposite of owning your potential. And here's the thing. Life is not going to wait for you. Life is not going to slow down until you catch up. Life is going to move forward. And the only way to keep pace with your dreams is to take full accountability for your ability and commit to the hard work that will bring them to life. Let's talk about excuses for a moment. Excuses are the enemy of potential. Excuses are the stories we tell ourselves to justify why we haven't done what we know we're capable of. Oh, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough resources. No, I don't have the right connections. Hey, I don't know where to start. All of that is irrelevant. You have been given the gift of life, the gift of ability, the gift of potential. And with those gifts comes responsibility. Excuses are the lies you tell yourself to avoid that responsibility. And the moment you stop making excuses and start owning your potential, that is when everything changes. Owning your potential also means owning your failures. You will fail, you will stumble, you will make mistakes. But when you take responsibility for your potential, failure becomes feedback. Failure becomes an opportunity to learn, grow, and improve. Failure is no longer a reason to quit. It is a reason to push harder, dig deeper, and rise stronger. The person who blames circumstances, who blames others, who waits for the world to give them permission, that person never grows. But the person who takes full responsibility for their gifts and their abilities, that person learns from every setback. That person grows stronger from every challenge. That person activates their full potential. Let me give you a simple truth. Potential is wasted when it's passive. Potential is activated when it's pursued. Potential is realized when it's owned. You cannot rely on motivation alone. You cannot rely on inspiration alone. You cannot rely on someone else to guide you. You must take responsibility for your life. You must take responsibility for your skill. talents, your intelligence, your energy, your discipline. You must take responsibility for your growth, your habits, your focus, your effort. That is the only way potential becomes reality. And here's the beauty of responsibility. It is empowering. When you own your potential, you stop waiting for validation. You stop waiting for approval. You stop hoping for luck. You stop depending on others to open doors. You become the driver of your life. You become the creator of your reality. You realize that the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the effort you are willing to put in, the risks you are willing to take, and the commitment you are willing to show every single day. That is power. That is freedom. That is the moment your potential becomes unstoppable. I want you to think about the people who inspire you most. Who are they? Why do they inspire you? I guarantee you, it's not because they were lucky. It's because they took ownership of their potential. They refused to settle. They refused to make excuses. They refused to let fear dictate their decisions. They refused to wait for someone else to push them. They put in the work when no one else was watching. They sacrificed comfort for growth. They committed to themselves, to their vision, and to their purpose. And that's what made them great. That's what made them extraordinary. That's what potential looks like when it is owned. And let me tell you something. Owning your potential isn't a one-time decision. It's a daily choice. Every morning when you wake up, you have to remind yourself that your potential is your responsibility. Every task you do, every decision you make, every action you take, you have to ask yourself, does this move me closer to the life I'm capable of creating? Am I using my gifts to their fullest? And if the answer is no, then it's time to adjust. It's time to push harder. It's time to refuse mediocrity. Potential is not static. Potential is dynamic. It grows when you cultivate it, and it shrinks when you neglect it. The responsibility to grow it, to activate it, is yours and yours alone. Let me make this very practical for you. What does taking responsibility for your potential look like on a daily basis? It looks like showing up, even when you don't feel like it. It looks like studying, practicing, working, training, learning, growing. It looks like sacrificing short-term pleasure for long-term gain. It looks like setting goals, creating systems, tracking your progress, and holding yourself accountable. It looks like surrounding yourself with people who push you, who challenge you, who inspire you, who refuse to let you settle. It looks like refusing to let fear, doubt, or procrastination dictate your actions. That's the daily grind of responsibility. That is the daily activation of potential. That is what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. And I want to leave you with this final truth. Your potential is limitless, but it is also fragile. It will not wait for you forever. Opportunities are fleeting. Time moves forward, whether you're ready or not. The person who delays, who hesitates, who blames, who waits, will find that their potential has been wasted. But the person who takes responsibility, who acts decisively, who invests relentlessly in themselves, who refuses to settle, that person will see their potential realized beyond their wildest dream. That person will rise. That person will inspire. That person will leave a legacy. That person will live a life of purpose, power, and fulfillment. So ask yourself right now, are you going to sit back and wait for life to unlock your potential? Or are you going to stand up, take ownership, and claim it for yourself? Are you going to let fear, doubt, and excuses hold you back? Or are you going to step into the fire, do the work, and become the person you were born to be? Your potential is not a gift you receive. It's a responsibility you accept. And once you accept it, once you own it, there's nothing that can stop you. You are unstoppable. You are powerful. You are capable. You are responsible. And you owe it to yourself to live the life you were meant to live. Consistency, the word sounds simple, doesn't it? But let me tell you something, and the reason most people never achieve their dreams, the reason most people stay stuck, the reason most people settle for mediocrity is because they misunderstand consistency. They think it's just about showing up sometimes, doing the work when they feel like it, or giving effort here and there when it's convenient. That's not consistency. True consistency is non-negotiable. True consistency is relentless. True consistency is the daily commitment to yourself and your goals. No matter how you feel, no matter what's happening around you, no matter who is watching or who isn't. And the moment you embrace consistency as non-negotiable, that's when your life changes forever. Let me be real with you. Talent will get you noticed, but consistency will get you results. Motivation will get you started, but consistency will keep you moving forward when motivation fades. Discipline will carry you through the tough moments, but consistency is the vehicle that takes you across the finish line. There is no substitute for showing up day after day, putting in the work, grinding through obstacles, and refusing to quit. If you want to achieve greatness, if you want to reach the level of success you dream about, you have to understand that consistency is not optional, it is mandatory. Think about the most successful people you know. I'm not talking about the ones who got lucky. I'm talking about the ones who earned their place at the top. What separates them from the average person? What separates the great from the good? What separates those who succeed from those who fail? The answer is simple: consistency. They show up every day without fail. They do the work when it's hard. They do the work when they're tired. They do the work when no one is watching. They commit to the process, not just the results. And that's why they achieve what others only dream about. I want to share a story with you. When I was younger, I had big dreams, but I wasn't consistent. I would work hard for a week, get tired, lose focus, and then give up. I would start something with passion, get distracted, and then quit when the first obstacle hit. I thought talent and desire were enough, but they weren't. And I realized something that changed my life. Talent will get you the starting line, but consistency is what takes you to the finish line. I had to make a commitment to myself that showing up every single day, doing the work even when it was uncomfortable, and refusing to quit would be non-negotiable. And once I made that commitment, everything changed. I started seeing results, progress, and momentum that I had never experienced before. That's the power of consistency. Let me break it down for you. Consistency is not about perfection. You're not expected to be perfect every day. You're not expected to never make mistakes. You're not expected to never fail. Consistency is about commitment. It's about showing up, doing the work, and refusing to give up no matter what. It's about getting back up when you fall. It's about continuing forward even when it feels impossible. It's about honoring your goals and your dreams, even when life tries to distract you, discourage you, or derail you. That is what separates the average from the exceptional. Think about athletes for a moment. Think about a professional football player, a basketball player, a basketball player, a boxer, or a track star. Do you think they got there by being inconsistent? Do you think they only trained when they felt motivated? Absolutely not. They trained every single day without excuses. They followed their routine, refined their skills, pushed their bodies beyond limits, and showed up even when they were tired, injured, or discouraged. Their consistency built discipline. Their consistency build results. Their consistency build greatness. And the same principle applies to your life. Whatever your dreams, whatever your goals, whatever your purpose, consistency is the key to unlocking it. I want you to think about your own life for a moment. How many times have you started something with passion and enthusiasm, only to give up when it got hard? How many times have you made promises to yourself, set goals, and then abandoned them after a few weeks or months? That's the enemy. That's inconsistency. And I promise you, the world doesn't reward inconsistency. The world doesn't care about your excuses, your feelings, or your temporary setbacks. The world rewards those who show up day in and day out, who refuse to quit, and who keep moving forward no matter what. That's the person you have to become. Consistency is also about habits. Every successful person in the world has mastered the art of habit. They understand that small, consistent actions compound over time to produce extraordinary results. It's not about a single big effort. It's about the daily grind, the repeated actions, the small steps that add up. Reading a few pages every day, working on your skills every day, practicing your craft every day, investing in your health every day, showing up for your goals every day. That is the formula for success. That is the power of consistency. That is non-negotiable. And let me remind you, consistency is tested by adversity. Life is going to challenge you. Life is going to knock you down. Life is going to make you question your commitment. There will be days when you feel like giving up. Days when everything seems impossible. Days when it feels like the universe is against you. And those are the days that matter the most. And those are the days that define you. Those are the days when showing up is non-negotiable. When you push through the hard days, when you grind when no one else is watching, when you refuse to quit, that's when consistency becomes your superpower. That's when greatness is forged. Let me give you another perspective. Consistency is also about trust. Trusting yourself, trusting your process, trusting your vision. When you commit to showing up every day, when you commit to doing the work, you build trust in yourself. You build confidence that you can handle challenges, overcome obstacles, and achieve your goals. You build a sense of reliability, not just for yourself, but for others. People start to notice when you are consistent. Doors open, opportunities appear, and momentum begins to carry you forward. But none of that happens if you are inconsistent. Inconsistency breeds doubt, fear, and stagnation. Consistency breeds result, momentum, and success. Now, I want to challenge you to think about your daily routine. What are you consistent with? Are you consistent in your habits, your actions, your mindset, your effort? Or are you inconsistent, showing up only when it's convenient, only when you feel like it, only when life is easy? The choice is yours. And the truth is, your future depends on that choice. Your dreams depend on that choice. Your legacy depends on that choice. Consistency is not a suggestion. It is a requirement if you want to achieve anything meaningful in life. Let me share something personal. I have had days where I felt exhausted, discouraged, and defeated. I have had moments when I wanted to quit. But every time I made the choice to stay consistent, to keep showing up, to keep grinding, to keep pushing, I saw results. I saw growth. I saw progress. And those moments of consistency, even when they were hard, even when they were uncomfortable, even when they were invisible to the world, became the foundation for my success. That's the lesson. Consistency matters more than talent, more than motivation, more than luck. Consistency compounds, and over time, it produces unstoppable results. I want to remind you again, consistency is non-negotiable. It is the difference between those who dream and those who achieve, between those who try and those who conquer, between those who start and those who finish. You cannot afford to be inconsistent. You cannot afford to skip days, delay action, or half-heartedly pursue your goal. Every day counts. Every effort counts. Every moment counts. Your dreams are not waiting for you to catch up. They are waiting for you to show up consistently and claim them. And here's the truth. Showing up consistently is not always easy. It requires sacrifice, discipline, and determination. It requires you to prioritize long-term success over short-term comfort. It requires you to make tough choices, to push through discomfort, to endure the pain, and to persist when most people would quit. But that's exactly what separates the average from the extraordinary. That's what separates those who achieve greatness from those who only dream about it. That's the power of consistency. Let me give you a mental picture. Imagine a hammer striking a rock. One strike might not do much. 10 strikes might chip the rock slightly. But thousands of strikes, consistent, relentless, and focused, will eventually break the rock apart. That's what consistency does in your life. Chips away at obstacles. It builds momentum. It transforms effort into results. Every small action, repeated consistently over time, compounds into extraordinary outcomes. That is why consistency is non-negotiable. It is the hammer that shapes your life. Think about your goals for a moment. What have you been putting off? What have you been putting off? What have you been inconsistent about? What is holding you back from achieving what you want? The answer is not motivation, luck, or talent. The answer is your commitment to consistency. Are you willing to show up every day, to do the work, to honor your goals, even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one else is watching? If not, your dreams will remain just dreams. If yes, you are on the path to greatness. And finally, let me leave you with this. Consistency is a lifestyle. It's not a tactic. It is not a strategy. It is not a temporary effort. It is a daily choice, a daily commitment, a daily refusal to quit, a daily decision to honor your goals and your potential. When you embrace consistency as non-negotiable, you unlock your ability to achieve extraordinary results, to build a life of purpose, to become the person you were born to be, and to leave a legacy that inspires others. That is the power of showing up. That is the power of consistency. That is the power that will change your life forever. Let me tell you something that most people in the world do not understand. Motivation is temporary. Motivation is fleeting. Motivation is exciting when it's there, but it doesn't last. You wake up one morning fired up, ready to chase your dreams, ready to conquer the world, ready to put in the work. And then life happens. The bills come, the problems come, the distractions come. The people who doubt you come, and suddenly that fire, that motivation starts to fade. And when it fades, most people quit. They stop. They give up. They fall back into the cycle of mediocrity. But let me tell you something crucial. Motivation is not the key to success. Discipline is. Discipline over motivation. Discipline is what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Discipline is what creates results when motivation has gone to sleep. Discipline is what pushes you to show up, grind, and excel, even when you do not feel like it. Think about how many times have you started a project, a workout, a study plan, or a business venture because you were motivated? And how many times did that motivation disappear before you finished? That's the reality for most people. They rely on feeling good to do the work, and feelings are unreliable. Motivation is a feeling. Discipline is a decision. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is a fire. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline is consistent, relentless, and unstoppable. And if you want to achieve greatness, you have to prioritize discipline over motivation. Let me tell you a story. When I was in school, I didn't always feel motivated to study, to work, or to push myself. Some days I woke up tired, frustrated, discouraged, or distracted. Some days I felt like quitting, giving up, or taking the easy road. But I realized something critical. If I waited for motivation to carry me, I would never accomplish anything. Motivation alone would not take me where I wanted to go. Discipline would. So I made a decision. No matter how I felt, I would do the work. No matter how tired I was, I would show up. No matter how frustrated or discouraged I was, I would put in the effort. And over time, that discipline created results that motivation alone could never have produced. Discipline is what allows you to do the hard work when no one is watching. It's what allows you to sacrifice short-term comfort for long-term success. It's what allows you to stay focused on your goals, even when distractions and setbacks try to pull you away. Motivation will only take you so far. Motivation will only carry you when life is easy. Discipline is what keeps you moving when life is hard. Discipline is what ensures that you stay committed to your vision, your purpose, and your dreams, no matter what. And that is why discipline over motivation is non-negotiable if you want to live a life of greatness. Let's break it down further. Motivation is external. It comes from a video, a speech, a quote, or a pep talk. Discipline is internal. Discipline is a choice you make every day. Discipline is what you enforce in your own life when no one else is holding you accountable. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Discipline is the muscle that turns potential into performance, ideas into results, and dreams into reality. And the moment you commit to discipline over motivation, that's when everything changes. Think about athletes for a moment. The best athletes in the world do not rely on motivation to train. They train even when they are tired. They train even when they are tired. They train even when they are injured. They train even when they don't feel like it. They understand that results come from discipline, not motivation. They understand that talent will only take them so far, but discipline will take them across the finish line. And the same principle applies to your life. Whether it's your business, your career, your education, your health, or your relationship, discipline is the key that unlocks success. Motivation is a bonus. Discipline is a necessity. Let me challenge you to reflect for a moment. How many times have you relied on motivation to get started? How many times have you said, I'll do it when I feel ready, or I'll start tomorrow, or I'll wait until I'm inspired? And how many times did that actually work out? The truth is, feelings are unreliable. Life will throw obstacles in your way, and those obstacles will test your resolve. If you rely on motivation, you will fail. If you rely on discipline, you will rise. Discipline is what keeps you going when your emotions, energy, and enthusiasm falter. Discipline is what transforms desire into action. Discipline is what creates unstoppable momentum. And let me make this clear. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is not suffering. Discipline is not deprivation. Discipline is freedom. Discipline is the freedom to control your life, to shape your future, to achieve your goals, and to live the life you were meant to live. When you are disciplined, you are no longer at the mercy of your feeling, your environment, or your circumstances. You are in control, you are empowered, you are unstoppable. That is the power of choosing discipline over motivation. I want to give you a practical example. Every successful person you know has systems, routines, and habits in place that they follow consistently. They don't wait for motivation to strike. They don't wait for inspiration to hit. They follow the process, day in and day out. They wake up early. They work hard. They focus relentlessly. They prioritize their tasks. They stay committed and they take consistent action. That is discipline. That is how results are created. And that is why anyone who wants to achieve greatness must embrace discipline as the foundation of their life. Let's talk about sacrifice. Discipline requires sacrifice. You will have to give up short-term pleasures to achieve long-term results. You will have to prioritize your goals over comfort, convenience, and instant gratification. You will have to work when others are resting, learn when others are playing, and grind when others are relaxing. And that's exactly what separates the winners from the losers. The winners understand that discipline requires sacrifice, and they're all willing to pay the price. The losers wait for motivation to make the work feel good, and they are left frustrated, unfulfilled, and stuck. And here's the reality: motivation will fail you every single time. It is unpredictable. It is inconsistent. It is temporary. You cannot rely on it. You cannot depend on it. You must cultivate discipline. You must enforce it in your own life. You must make it non-negotiable. You must commit to it, practice it, and master. And when you do, you will discover a power within you that is unstoppable. You will discover the ability to push through pain, overcome obstacles, and achieve results that most people only dream about. That is the gift of discipline. That is the choice you must make. I want to challenge you to take responsibility for your life right now. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for someone else to push you. The world does not owe you motivation. The world does not owe you success. You owe it to yourself to cultivate discipline, to enforce it, and to show up every day, no matter how you feel. That is the mindset of champions. That is the mindset of winners. That is the mindset that will change your life. And let me remind you, discipline compounds. It is like interest in the bank. Every time you choose discipline over motivation, you invest in your future. Every time you choose to show up when you don't feel like it, you strengthen your character. Every time you push through discomfort, you grow stronger. Every time you make the hard choice, you get closer to your goals. Discipline is not glamorous. It is not easy. It is not immediate, but it is unstoppable. And the results over time are extraordinary. Think about your goals for a moment. Are you disciplined enough to achieve them? Are you willing to do the work day in and day out, even when motivation fades? Are you willing to sacrifice comfort, pleasure, and convenience to reach your dreams? If not, your goals will remain out of reach. If yes, your potential is limitless. Your future is in your hands. Your success is inevitable. Discipline over motivation. That is the mantra of the unstoppable. That is the secret to achievement. That is what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary tomorrow. I want you to remember something. Life is hard. The journey to success is difficult. Challenges, setbacks, and obstacles are guaranteed. You cannot wait for motivation to carry you through the hard times. You must rely on discipline. You must commit to showing up, doing the work, and staying the course no matter what. Discipline will carry you when motivation leaves. Discipline will sustain you when the world tries to knock you down. Discipline will give you the power to rise above mediocrity and achieve greatness. That is the truth. That is the reality. That is the choice you must make. And finally, let me leave you with this. Motivation is temporary, but discipline is permanent. Motivation is exciting, but discipline is enduring. Motivation is external, but discipline is internal. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline lasts a lifetime. Choose discipline over motivation. Enforce it in your life. Make it non-negotiable. Commit to it every single day. And when you do, your life will never be the same. You will achieve things you never thought possible. You will rise above obstacles, doubts, and fear. You will become the person you were meant to be. And that, my friend, is the power of discipline over motivation. Failure. Most people are terrified of it. They avoid it, they fear it, they run from it, they hide from it. But let me tell you something. Failure is not the enemy. Failure is not a dead end. Failure is not a reflection of your work. Failure is feedback. Failure is a teacher. Failure is the roadmap to your success. And the moment you understand that failure is not something to avoid, but something to embrace, that's when your life begins to change. That's when you stop playing small. That's when you start living at the level you were meant to live. Too many people live in fear of failure. They are afraid to try new things because they might mess up. They are afraid to take risks because they might lose. They are afraid to speak up because they might be rejected, and because of that fear, they settle. They settle for safe jobs, average results, mediocre relationships, and unfulfilled dreams. But I'm here to tell you that settling is far worse than failing. Settling is giving up on yourself before you even start. Settling is living a life that is far below your potential. Settling is refusing to embrace failure as the teacher was meant to be. And I promise you, if you want greatness, you cannot settle. You must embrace failure. Think about the greatest achievers in history. Think about the people you admire most. Do you think they never failed? Do you think they never made mistakes? Absolutely not. They failed. They fell down. They were rejected, criticized, and doubted. They experienced setbacks that would have crushed most people. But here's the difference. They treated failure as feedback. They learned from it. They adjusted. They improved. They used it as fuel to push harder, dig deeper, and rise stronger. And that is exactly what you must do. Failure, not the end, is the beginning of your growth. I want to share a personal story. When I was younger, I had dreams bigger than my circumstances. I wanted to rise. I wanted to make an impact. I wanted to be someone who mattered. But I failed. I failed countless times. I failed in school. I failed in relationships. I failed in my career aspirations. I got rejected more times than I can count. I faced doors slammed in my face. I faced people who laughed at my vision. And at first, it hurt. It stung. It made me question myself. But then I realized something critical. These failures were not punishments. They were lessons. They were feedback. They were opportunities to get better, stronger, and smarter. And the moment I embraced that mindset, everything changed. My failures became the foundation of my success. My failures became my teacher, my guide, my roadmap to growth. Failure is feedback, not a verdict. Most people take failure personally. They let it define them. They let it destroy their confidence. They let it convince them they are not good enough. But that is a lie. Failure does not define you. It informs you. It shows you what's not working. It shows you where you need to improve. It shows you what adjustments you need to make. And if you embrace failure as feedback, you no longer fear it. You no longer avoid it. You no longer let it hold you back. You use it as a tool to grow, evolve, and rise. Let me break it down further. Every failure contains information. Every setback contains a lesson. Every mistake contains a message. The problem is that most people ignore it. Most people feel embarrassed, ashamed, or defeated, and they move on without learning anything. But the people who succeed, the people who rise above the rest, look at failure differently. They analyze it. They ask themselves, what went wrong? What can I do differently? How can I improve? They use it as data to inform their next move. And that is how failure becomes a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. Think about Thomas Edison. Do you know how many times he failed before he invented the light bulb? Thousands of experiments that didn't work. Thousands of attempts that were wrong. But he didn't quit. He said, I've not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. That is the mindset you must have. Failure is not defeat. Failure is information. Failure is feedback. Failure is progress disguised as pain. And when you embrace that truth, nothing can stop you. Let me challenge you to look at your own life. What failures have you experienced? How have you responded to them? Have you let them hold you back? Have you let them discourage you? Or have you used them as lessons, as guides, as fuel to propel yourself forward? Most people choose the first. The successful choose the second. The successful understand that failure is not something to fear. It is something to embrace, to study, to learn from, and to grow stronger because of. Failure also teaches resilience, teaches grit. It teaches perseverance. When you fail, you learn that you are stronger than you thought. You learn that you can get back up. You learn that you can endure pain, disappointment, and frustration and still continue forward. And that resilience is exactly what you need to achieve greatness. Because success is not about avoiding failure. It's about enduring it, learning from it, and using it to grow. That's the essence of embracing failure is feedback. And let me make this very practical. When you fail, do not run from it. Do not hide from it. Do not let it discourage you. Instead, analyze it. Reflect on it. Ask yourself, what did I learn? How can I improve? What's my next move? Write it down. Break it apart. Study it. Learn from it. And then take that knowledge and apply it. That is how failure becomes a tool for growth rather than a weapon of destruction. That is how setbacks turn into comebacks. That is how ordinary people rise to extraordinary levels of success. Let me give you another perspective. Failure is a natural part of life. It is unavoidable. Every single person you admire has failed. Every single person you look up to has faced setbacks. Every single person who achieved greatness has stumbled, fallen, and been rejected. The difference is not that they avoided failure. The difference is that they embraced it, learned from it, and let it shape them into stronger, wiser, and more capable individuals. And that is exactly what you must do. Fear of failure is the greatest enemy of progress. Most people never even try because they are afraid to fail. They are afraid to make mistakes. They are afraid of rejection. And because of that fear, they miss opportunities, they miss growth, and they miss their destiny. But when you shift your perspective and see failure as feedback, fear disappears, loses its power. Fear becomes irrelevant. You take action anyway. You push forward anyway. You embrace the lessons, adjust your course, and rise stronger than ever. I want to remind you that failure is not permanent. It is temporary. It is a stepping stone. It is a test, not a verdict. It is a message, not a judgment. And every time you fail and respond with action, learning, and growth, you are building something stronger than you could have imagined. You are building resilience, wisdom, courage, and confidence. You are building a foundation for success that cannot be shaken by setbacks, criticism, or rejection. That is the power of embracing failure as feedback. Think about entrepreneurs for a moment. Every successful entrepreneur has failed. Every startup that made it to the top has experienced setbacks, financial loss, rejection, and criticism. But those who succeeded didn't quit. They analyzed, adapted, and adjusted. They treated failure as feedback, not as defeat. They understood that failure is a natural part of growth, and they used it as a roadmap to success. That same principle applies to your life, no matter your goals, your dreams, or your purpose. And here's the reality. The faster you fail, the faster you learn, the faster you grow. Avoiding failure is the fastest way to stay stuck. Taking risks, making mistakes, and learning from them is the fastest way to rise. Every time you fail and embrace it, you get stronger, smarter, and more prepared for the next challenge. Every time you fail and use it as feedback, you move closer to your goals. Every time you fail and refuse to quit, you take a step closer to the life you were meant to live. Let me give you a practical mindset shift. Whenever you experience failure, repeat this to yourself. This is feedback. This is not defeat. This is information. I will learn from this. I will grow from this. I will use this to rise higher, and then take action. Analyze, adjust, and apply. That is how ordinary people become extraordinary. That is how setbacks become comeback. That is how failure becomes the fuel for unstoppable success. Failure also teaches humility. It teaches you to stay grounded, to listen, to learn, to seek guidance, and to grow from criticism. It teaches you that success is not guaranteed, that life is not easy, and that growth requires effort, persistence, and learning. And that humility combined with resilience, combined with action, becomes unstoppable power. That is why embracing failure is one of the most important mindsets you can develop. Finally, let me leave you with this. If you want success, if you want growth, if you want to live a life beyond mediocrity, you must embrace failure as feedback. You must see it as a teacher, not an enemy. You must learn from it, adjust your course, and continue forward. You must refuse to let setbacks define you, discourage you, or stop you. You must rise above, push through, and grow stronger. Because failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of success. Failure is not the enemy of progress. It is the guide to progress. Failure is not a verdict. It is feedback. And the moment you embrace that truth, your life will never be the same. Time is the one thing you cannot buy, or recover once it's gone. You think money is powerful. You think connections are powerful. You think talent is powerful. Let me tell you, none of that matters if you do not own your time. Owning your time is the difference between success and failure, between mediocrity and greatness. The most successful people on this planet understand one principle. Time is the ultimate resource, and they treat it like a CEO treats their business, strategically, intentionally, and without excuses. If you want to live a life of impact, of achievement, of fulfillment, you must learn to own your time like a CEO. Most people waste their time without realizing it. They let social media dictate their day, notifications, steal their focus. Television programs consume hours, and endless distractions fill their life. And before they know it, days, weeks, months, and even years have passed without progress. They say they are busy, but what are they busy with? Busy with nonsense, busy with other people's agendas, busy with things that do not move them forward. That is not living, it is existing. And if you want to rise, if you want to elevate, if you want to dominate in your life, you must reclaim your time and own it like a CEO. Owning your time means being intentional with every single minute. A CEO does not allow chaos to run the company. They have systems, priorities, and boundaries. They know what tasks move the needle and which ones are distraction. They plan, they execute, and they eliminate the non-essential. You have to do the same with your life. Every day ask yourself, am I spending my time on what truly matters? Am I investing my energy where it counts? Or am I squandering my moments on things that do not serve my growth, my dreams, or my purpose? The answer will determine whether you stay average or rise to greatness. Let me tell you a story. When I was younger, I had big dreams, but I did not value my time. I would waste hours scrolling, procrastinating, and putting off important work. I thought I had all the time in the world. But one day I realized that time does not wait for anyone. I realized that every moment I wasted was a moment I could never get back. I realized that if I wanted to succeed, I had to take control of my schedule, prioritize my goals, and own my time with ruthless focus. That decision changed everything for me. Owning your time is also about saying no. Most people say yes to everything. They say yes to distractions, yes to obligations that do not serve them, yes to other people's priorities, yes to things that waste energy and focus. But a CEO knows the power of no. They understand that every yes to the wrong thing is a no to what matters most. And if you want to achieve your dreams, you have to get comfortable saying no. No to the distraction, no to the time waster, no to the things that do not move you forward. No is a powerful word when it protects your time and your focus. Time is also about accountability. A CEO measures results, evaluates performance, and adjusts the strategy when necessary. You have to do the same with your life. Track how you spend your hours, assess whether your actions align with your goals, and make changes when needed. Most people live on autopilot, unaware of where their time goes, and wonder why they are not getting results. Awareness of your time is the first step to mastery. When you own your time, you own your results. When you own your results, you own your destiny. Let me break it down even further. Owning your time is about prioritization. It is about understanding the difference between urgent and important, between what demands attention and what deserves attention. Most people spend their lives reacting to crises, messages, notifications, and other people's demands. But the most successful people plan their day around what is most important. They block time for deep work, personal growth, relationships, and goals. And let me remind you, time waits for no one. Procrastination, hesitation, and indecision are the enemies of success. Every day you delay action, every day you waste time. Every day you allow distractions to rule, you are losing ground. The most successful people do not wait for the perfect moment. They take action now, manage their time wisely, and execute relentlessly. If you want to rise, you must do the same. Own your time, or someone else will, and it will not benefit you. Let me share something personal. There were days in my life when I wasted hours complaining, scrolling, doubting, and delaying action. And I realized that every hour wasted was an hour I could never get back. I realized that if I wanted to change my life, I had to treat my time as sacred. I had to plan, prioritize, and protect it. I had to execute like a CEO in my own life. That decision changed everything. I started seeing progress, achieving results, and building momentum. And that same principle applies to you. Owning your time is also about delegation. A CEO cannot do everything alone. They focus on the tasks that only they can do and delegate the rest. You must do the same in your life. Identify tasks that do not require your unique skills or attention and delegate, automate, or eliminate them. This creates space for you to focus on what truly matters, what moves the needle and what accelerates your growth. Time is finite. Use it wisely. Finally, let me leave you with this. You are the CEO of your life. Your time is your capital. Every decision, every action, every minute is an investment in your future. Do not squander it. Do not allow distractions to steal it. Do not wait for someone else to tell you what to do. Take control, prioritize, plan, execute, protect, invest. Own your time like a CEO, and your results, your growth, and your success will reflect the level of ownership you demonstrate every single day. That is the mindset of winners, the mindset of champions, and the mindset of unstoppable people. Consistency. It is the invisible force that separates the winners from the losers, the successful from the ordinary, the extraordinary from the average. Most people think that success comes from talent, luck, or one big breakthrough. But the truth is, none of that matters without consistency. Consistency creates momentum. And momentum is what carries you through the hard times, through the setbacks, and through the moments when you feel like giving up. If you want to achieve greatness, you must understand this. Showing up once is not enough. Doing something today does not guarantee results tomorrow. Success is not a one-time event. It is a series of small, deliberate actions performed consistently over time. Let me break it down for you. Imagine a snowball rolling down a hill. On its own, it is small. On its own, it does not make an impact. But as it rolls, gathering snow, getting bigger, gaining speed, it becomes unstoppable. That snowball is your life, your work, your dreams. Consistency is the rolling. Momentum is the growth. And the combination of the two is power beyond measure. Most people fail because they give up too soon. They show up once, twice, maybe even 3 times. And when results don't appear immediately, they quit. But success is rarely immediate. It is built over time, brick by brick, day by day, action by action. That's why consistency is non-negotiable. Let me tell you a story. When I was younger, I wanted to succeed, but I thought motivation alone would carry me. I would wake up fired up, ready to work, ready to chase my dreams. But then life happened. I got tired. I got discouraged. I got distracted. And some days I didn't feel like showing up. I realized that relying on motivation alone was dangerous. Motivation comes and goes, but consistency is unstoppable. I made a decision. No matter how I felt, no matter the obstacles, no matter the setbacks, I would show up every day. And that decision changed everything. Every day I showed up, every day I put into work, momentum built. And once momentum built, success became inevitable. Consistency is not glamorous. It is not exciting. It is not flashy. Most people think they will get results by doing one big thing, one great thing, or one miraculous thing. But the truth is, results come from doing the small things repeatedly over and over again, even when no one is watching. Consistency is what allows the ordinary to become extraordinary. Consistency is what turns potential into performance, dreams into reality, and vision into results. You cannot skip this step. You cannot cheat this process. You must be willing to do the work consistently, even when it feels mundane, even when it feels boring, even when it feels like no one notices. Think about the most successful athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, and leaders. Do you think they got there by doing something great once? Absolutely not. They got there by showing up every day, by training every day, by practicing their craft every day, by probing incrementally every day. That is the power of consistency. That is how momentum is built. And once momentum is built, it becomes unstoppable. It carries you through challenges, obstacles, and setbacks that will crush most people. Momentum is what turns persistence into results, and consistency is what creates momentum. Let me challenge you to reflect. How consistent are you in your life? Are you consistent in your work? Are you consistent in your personal growth? Are you consistent in your relationships? Are you consistent in your habits, your routines, and your actions? Most people are not. Most people are inconsistent. They show up when they feel like it. They work when it's convenient. They give effort when they are inspired. And that is why they remain average. If you want to rise above, if you want to create extraordinary results, you must commit to consistency. You must show up day in and day out, even when it is hard, even when it is uncomfortable, even when no one is watching. Consistency also builds trust. In business, in relationships, in life, people respect those who show up consistently. People trust those who deliver reliably. When you are consistent in your actions, your commitments, and your effort, you build credibility, you build reliability, you build a reputation that cannot be shaken. And that reputation opens doors, creates opportunity doors, creates opportunity. You grow, get forgotten. Consistent people get remembered. Consistent people get results. Consistent people rise to the top. Momentum is a powerful force. Once it starts, it carries you forward, making the hard things easier, making the challenges manageable, and making progress inevitable. But momentum only comes from consistent action. One day of work does not create momentum. 1 week does not create momentum. 1 month does not create momentum. But 6 months, a year, 5 years of consistent effort build momentum so strong that setbacks, failure, and obstacles cannot stop it. Momentum is the secret weapon of the successful, and consistency is the key that unlocks it. Let me give you a practical example. Let's say you want to get in shape. One workout will not transform your body. One healthy meal will not create a six-pack. 1 week of effort will not make you fit. But consistent workouts, consistent nutrition, and consistent effort over time create results. That is the same principle for your career, your business, your education, and your personal growth. Small actions, repeated consistently, compound into extraordinary results. That is the law of momentum. That is the law of consistency. And once you understand it, nothing can stop you. Consistency is also about discipline. Most people think they need motivation to do the work. They think they need to feel inspired to show up. But feelings are unreliable. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline is what creates consistency. Discipline is the decision to show up, to put in the work, and to take action regardless of how you feel. Discipline is what turns dreams into reality, and consistency is the muscle that carries it out. Without discipline, consistency is impossible. Without consistency, momentum is unattainable. Let me be clear. Consistency requires sacrifice. You would have to give up comfort, convenience, and instant gratification. You would have to do the work even when it is hard. You will have to persevere through challenges, setbacks, and discouragement. You will have to commit to the process, trust the journey, and believe in the power of incremental progress. Most people are unwilling to make these sacrifices, and that is why they never achieve their potential. But if you are willing to commit to consistency, the results will follow. And the momentum you build will carry you further than you ever imagined. I want you to think about the long game. Most people quit too early. They expect overnight success, instant results, or immediate gratification. They are discouraged when progress seems slow and they give up. But success is not instantaneous. Success is the product of consistent effort over time. It is the result of showing up, doing the work, and trusting the process day in and day out, week in and week out, year in and year out. The most successful people in the world are not lucky. They are consistent. They are persistent. They are relentless. And that is what creates momentum. Consistency also creates confidence. Every time you show up and put in the work, even when it's hard, even when no one notices, you build confidence in your ability to execute. You build belief in yourself. You build proof that you can overcome obstacles, persevere through challenges, and take action regardless of circumstances. And that confidence compounds over time. The more consistent you are, the more momentum you have, and the more unstoppable you become. That is the cycle of success. That is the cycle of high achievers. Let me give you another perspective. Life will test you. Challenges, setbacks, failures, and doubts are guaranteed. If you rely on motivation alone, you will fail. Motivation is fleeting, unreliable, and temporary. Consistency, however, is permanent. Consistency creates habits, and habits create results. Consistency builds momentum, and momentum carries you through the storms, the obstacles, and the moments when you feel like giving up. Consistency is what ensures that you reach your goals, and momentum is what makes the journey faster, easier, and more powerful. And let me remind you, momentum is contagious. Once you start building it, it grows. The small wins accumulate. The progress compounds. The energy builds. And soon, you are unstoppable. But it all starts with consistency. One action repeated, one day at a time. One commitment not to honor. Momentum does not happen by chance. Momentum happens by choice. Momentum happens by showing up consistently, regardless of how you feel. Momentum happens when you refuse to quit. And once momentum builds, success becomes inevitable. Consistency also requires focus. You cannot be consistent if you are distracted, scattered, or unfocused. You must identify your priorities, eliminate distractions, and devote your energy to what matters most. Focus, consistent action creates exponential results. Random, inconsistent effort produces minimal impact. If you want to rise, if you want to achieve, if you want to dominate in your field, you must align your actions with your priorities. And you must execute consistently, relentlessly, and without excuses. Let me challenge you to take responsibility for your results. Stop blaming luck, talent, or circumstances. Stop waiting for motivation, inspiration, or perfect conditions. Consistency is your responsibility. Momentum is your creation. Every day you show up, every day you take action, every day you honor your commitment. You are building a future that no one can take away. Every day you quit, every day you delay, every day you are inconsistent, you are choosing mediocrity. The choice is yours. Consistency creates momentum. Momentum creates results. Results create your legacy. Finally, I want to leave you with this truth. The world does not reward sporadic effort. The world rewards consistency. The world rewards persistence. The world rewards those who show up when it's hard, who put in the work when no one is watching, who honor their commitments day after day. Consistency creates momentum, and momentum turns ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. Consistency is not optional. Momentum is not accidental. If you want to rise, if you want to succeed, if you want to leave a mark on this world, you must commit to consistency. You must show up every day. You must do the work. You must trust the process. And when you do, momentum will carry you forward, unstoppable, unshakable, and undeniable.